On this meeting to order at 2 p.m. on, April 4th. Okay, Rick, would you like to give the Pledge of Allegiance? Sure.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Here.
Councilmember Freeman,
Here.
Councilmember Perez,
Present.
Thank you. Can I have a certificate of posting?
the
So
agen-
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for December 14th?
So moved.
Second.
Let's vote on it. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so going on, we now go to public comment. Any public comment? You have 3 minutes on items not related to items on the agenda. You have 3 minutes, please. Okay.
no public comment.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, going on to item number 3, staff announcements, informational only.
Good afternoon, task force members. I would like to invite up Monica Bonza, our recycling coordinator.
Okay, here, there we go. Whose screen is that your screen? One moment, please.
Is it working yet?
I think he should be able to connect it now, and if he doesn't, then I guess we'll just go on. There we go. Okay.
One
So-
moment.
oh.
Thank you, IT support.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so good afternoon, local task force. I will be kicking off our staff announcements with grant and payment program updates. Starting with the oil payment program, or OPP. This is a state-funded program specifically focused on providing education and resources to residents on how to properly dispose their used motor oil. We are currently using funds from the cycle OPP 13. We were awarded $21,824 in this cycle, and we have until June 30th to use up these funds. As of now, we have around $8,000 remaining. As for the City County Payment Program, or CCPP, we are currently, we submitted our expenditure report for fiscal year 21-22 earlier this week on April 1st. This is also a state-funded program specifically focused on encouraging bottle and can recycling as well as litter reduction. For this cycle, we were awarded $25,561. And we were able to purchase materials such as recycling receptacles, water fountain and refill stations, cleanup supplies, and other materials. We will now be using funds from fiscal year 2022-2023. We also received $52,000 from the Mattress Recycling Council pilot grant. These funds will support efforts to reduce the mattresses that are being illegally dumped on our roads, and Frankie will be able to provide further detail during his updates. And we also received our SB 1383 local assistance grant. We submitted this application back in November. We originally applied for $239,912 and were awarded $269,157. So we got awarded more than what we had originally applied for, which is really nice. This will help improve our SB 1383 compliance efforts and will allow us to add new staff dedicated to furthering our SB 1383 compliance. And as for events that we had this past quarter, we kicked off the first quarter with our biannual Green Business Mixer in January 17th. We recognized 6 newly certified green businesses and 1 recertified business. Shortly after the mixer, we also presented to the County Board of Supervisors on our green efforts. With the help of the board, we were able to present a county sustainability challenge to all county departments. As of now, we are working with 3 departments and hope to add more. We also plan on taking these efforts to the city and are looking for your support to help push these efforts there as well. And this progress is ongoing. And we also participated in the Community Resource Fair. This was an event put on by a local high school student here as part of her Girl Scout Gold Award. It was held on Saturday, March 23rd at the Strata Verde Information Center. This was a great opportunity for us to connect with several community members as well as other local organizations. This past weekend, on Saturday, March 30th, we held our very first Recycle Day of the year. This was an opportunity for residents to dispose of their household hazardous waste outside of our regularly monthly HHW events. This event was held at the parking lot of our office at 2301 Technology Parkway from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and we had a total of around 25 attendees. So it was a pretty consistent line of people coming through the entire time. And as for upcoming events, we do have quite a few upcoming events coming up in the second quarter. On Saturday, April 6th, Recology will be hosting their environmental days at Bergantino Park here in Hollister from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is an opportunity for residents to drop off any documents for shredding, e-waste recycling, and they get to pick up free compost. The following weekend, Recology will be hosting the same event, but in San Juan at the San Juan School parking lot. And we are also very excited to announce that later this month, we will be having our annual Earth Day celebration on April 20th. This year's celebration will be held in San Juan Bautista at the State Historic Park. Our event will be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We will have booths with zero waste activities, performances, and we'll be announcing the winners of the Recology Art Poster Contest. That same day, we will be having our monthly HHW event at the landfill from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So you can go drop off your materials and head over to our Earth Day celebration. And that concludes my updates.
Next, I'd like to invite up Frankie Sanchez, our illegal dumping coordinator.
Good afternoon, LTF, and thank you, Catherine. I'm here to deliver a few updates about our illegal dumping coordination. Firstly, we recently concluded our illegal dumping program survey, which was us reaching out to different city and county departments to get a better understanding of how they deal with illegal dumping. And this was in large part thanks to R3, who supported us throughout this whole survey, helped create it, and helped deploy it out to the different departments, and then they also helped put together a finalized report of all the findings that we had throughout it. And so the next step would be to reconnect with some of the city and county departments to invite them to the task force, and so that'll be coming up in the recent months, or the upcoming months. Next, we have the Mattress Recycling Council pilot grant that Monica was mentioning earlier, that we were accepted for funding up to $52,000, and this will be funding different outreach efforts for the different collection events that we offer to the residents of San Benito County, not only San Benito County, but the two cities as well. There will be more funding for postcard mailers to all the residents, as well as 50 illegal dumping signs that we'll be posting around the county in two cities, among other things as well. Next, we've been hosting community cleanups throughout the year. At these cleanups, we hand out supplies to volunteers who want to clean up an area around town that they feel could use some attention. And so IWM rents out trash pickers, garbage grabbers, bags, vests, gloves, whatever the volunteers would need to complete a cleanup. And then we also offer free trash disposal at these events. And so volunteers would show up, pick up the supplies, go out to a town or place in the town that they feel needs some attention, and then they bring us the trash back and we'll get rid of it for them for free. And they've been pretty successful so far. The last one we had actually got a little bit rained out. There was some troopers that made it out there with us, and they cleaned up a little bit for about an hour or two, but as the rain went on for the third hour, they started to get a little bit too soaked, so we called it a day. But the next one that we're going to be having will be at the San Juan Library, and that's on Saturday, May 18th. It's going to be from 9 to noon, so if you guys know anybody who would want to come join us out there, that's where we'll be that day. And we can send out some flyers as well before the event, so we can get the word out a little bit better. Next, at the beginning of next month, May 2nd and May 3rd, I'll be attending the Illegal Dumping Conference in Alameda County. This is where a lot of experts throughout the state come together to talk about best practices around illegal dumping. I believe this year's theme is called, I think it's Best Practices to End Illegal Dumping. And then they're going to be kind of focusing on the 3 E's again. That's kind of the theme of every conference, but that's kind of the staple, and so they really like to reiterate that. But this conference is a great opportunity for me to meet people who are experts in the field, and also just make connections with people who have been doing this kind of work for a long time, so that if we want to implement something that they've implemented in their jurisdiction, we have those connections to reach out to and learn more about. And lastly, I think this is something that was brought up at a prior LTF meeting, but we're thinking about adding landfill vouchers for people who do cleanups around town or the county on their own time, but don't want to spend their own money at the dump. They're helping us clean up the dumping that they see around town just because they want to see the county beautiful, but we want to support them in those efforts by at least offering them a way to get rid of this stuff for free at no cost. And so we're in contact or communications with the landfill to talk about how something like this would work, and they're pretty supportive of it. We just have to have a few more conversations about some logistics around this, but hopefully we'll be able to offer these kinds of vouchers to residents in the near future. And those are my updates today. I'd like to invite Catherine back up to the podium for the
Frankie,
next
can I
slide.
ask a question?
Yeah.
Going back to the last item and the voucher program, how are you going to ascertain that the load that's coming is from a community cleanup?
So there's going to be kind of an application process that has to happen before it gets approved and everything. And so what they would do is, through that application, they would let us know what kind of material they would be bringing to the dump, and then the landfill would have that on hand when the customer would
Okay,
show
so
up.
it's not just anybody would show up and say, oh, I was cleaning up downtown.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I have a voucher,
yeah, okay.
Can I ask a question also? Yeah, you're talking about 14,000 or 21,000 we had for oil, and we had 8 left. We used about 14,000 for the cleanup so far, and the mattresses you had about 52,000 to the grants that were received. How many mattresses is that about? Or I mean, I'd say, what does that mean? What does that look like in my head? I'm trying to get a picture of that.
Are you trying to see how many
How many beds?
mattresses $52,000
Yeah,
would
is
pick
that
up?
10 truckloads? Is that 1,000 mattresses?
So the 52,000 is going to go towards more education and outreach efforts about
Okay.
the proper disposal channels for mattresses,
Okay.
not just mattresses, but there's other things that go along with those types of bulky items. And so we're hoping to get the word out more through like postcard mailers. We want to do in-person outreach at multifamily dwellings. And so whether that be going door to door, maybe just tabling at certain community events, or working with the property managers to get some education outreach pieces out to their residents. It won't be going directly to picking up mattresses, but hopefully through the efforts that we're putting forth, we'll see a reduction in the amount of mattresses that are being dumped in the county.
Just one comment to add, when Public Works from the city of Hollister or Public Works from the county does pick up an illegally dumped mattress on the side of the road, we are getting $20 for every mattress at this time from the Mattress Recycling Council, and that's separate from this pilot grant program.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Awesome. I'd like to invite Catherine up. Thank you.
Hello again. In front of you, you have the local task force master calendar, which Selena and I have been working on. We implemented this as a draft last year, and it has worked well for us. And so I can open it up for the public to view as well. And so this is a living document, but these are all items that we typically address during the local task force meetings at these appropriate quarters, on these appropriate dates. And if there is an item that you would like us to address or to put on, you can just contact Selena or I, and you can make suggestions during the LTF meetings. This is helps us project out the whole year, and it gives you an opportunity to see what is coming, and for the community to see what is coming. And so, any questions?
On that note, I was going to ask, since now the landfill expansion is no longer on the table to be an issue that's going, any kind of expansion going forward, can we look at what the impact is going to be to residents in terms of a cost for a transfer station? What are the options? What can we do? I know that's not solely your department. It is the transfer, and it will be something we'll be seeing at the Board of Supervisors. But I think the faster we start talking, or the quicker we start talking about this, the faster the residents can understand the implications of the expansion not going forward. Whether I was pro or con, doesn't matter. The facts are now there's going to have to be a different course of action that we're all going to be part of, whether it's reducing our waste, it's more recycling. A transfer station is probably going to have to move forward eventually, somehow, some way, and at the cost of to whom, I couldn't say, but is that something we can start talking about at this point?
We can look into including a presentation, an introductory presentation in Q2 or Q3 of this year to begin that discussion. There was some preliminary financial analysis of a transfer station, but it's really hard to determine the actual cost of what a transfer station would be in San Benito County until we know exactly what the design, the location, if we own the property, if we leased, all of those details. So we can provide at that meeting what we have and open that up for discussion and explore further.
And maybe start working on an expansion of education to the community in terms of what we need to do proactively to start recycling and reducing waste, because it's eventually going to have an impact on all of us. So I just thought maybe that might be a good idea to look at.
Before you go, I would like to see added somewhere on the list, maybe fourth quarter or something, just kind of a update on the hazardous HHW situation, on how many pounds they take in or gallons they take in, and the budget situation on that. I think a yearly update on that would be really good. Quarterly would be too much work and for not much gain, but I think a yearly kind of summary report would be really good on that. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So you're asking us for a yearly update on the HHW data and also its budget, the budget situation. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, not right now. Any public comment on all this? I have one extra little comment. Going back to Monica's announcements, I just wanted to let you know that I'm helping out. I gave an announcement today at lunch you weren't there, you'd already gone home.
I took a nap. I took a nap.
For the Earth Day in the park at San Juan. And thank you, Selena, for emailing the start time, because I didn't know the start time. So I figured it out once you emailed or texted it to me. Thank you. That's it. Okay. Going on to presentations.
Pardon me, local task force member announcements.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just gave my announcement. Thank you.
I reached out to Frankie as I walked in the door, asking for his contact information so I can get to him, funnel in some of the concerns that I came across as residents in terms of the illegal dumping in their area. So,
Rick, you have anything?
I took a nap.
Okay.
Getting prepared and ready for this meeting, because this is the meeting of the quarter for me, so.
He has to be wide awake, you know. Anyway, so thank you. So, any public comment on, or it's not, okay, going on to item number 5. Okay, presentations.
I'd like to invite up Shauna McCracken with Brickology.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, members of the local task force. I'm Shauna McCracken, Waste Zero Manager for San Benito County Recology. And we also have Mike Kelly here. He's our general manager, as you know, and he'll be available also if you have questions. So I'm here to present the results from last year, 2023. As always, we're always a little bit behind the actual, the time that we're reporting about. So we'll have to just kind of remember what 2023 was all about. Oops, I went the wrong way. There we go. So overall, it was a good year. In some cases, diversion stayed relatively steady. In others, it went up. In a couple of cases where you see the red type here, it did go down ever so slightly. We attribute that mostly to the cleanups that occurred after the unfortunate flooding events and some other cleanups, and that material does go to landfill. So that probably is what caused those numbers to go down slightly. But basically, we held steady or made some progress. You can see in San Juan Bautista, we almost made it, and I use the we as a capital we, all of us, almost made it to 50% diversion, which is a goal we've all kind of had in mind. So we're getting very close there, and this is net tons. So if we didn't have the kind of contamination that we have, we'd be well above that. So again, it really behooves all of us to keep working on that and trying to educate the public and persuade them to do the best they can with keeping contaminants out of the recycling and the organics. In terms of businesses and other organizations, our commercial customers, and this does include multifamily dwellings, apartment buildings, and so forth. These are the activities that took place last year just with my own Waste Zero team, so we're the outreach team essentially. So we did almost 200 site visits, visiting businesses, also some of the facilities within your jurisdictions. They're also among our commercial customers. So we did 104 recycling assessments, specifically looking at opportunities for recycling more. And we had 36 new and increased organics customers. So that's a really positive result, I think, and it puts us ahead of schedule with 1383. We put out 6 bill inserts, as we always do, including 2 newsletters to our commercial customers. That newsletter is called Zero Waste News. And then we, together with Integrated Waste and the Green Business Certification Program, 12 new businesses became green certified and 7 were recertified. Here you can see one of our winners of the Recycle Right Challenge. We have 2 winners every year, one in the spring and one in the fall. So Jack in the Box did really great last year. Okay, in terms of compliance with the state legislation requiring commercial diversion of one type or another, whether it be recycling or organics, we're at 100%. Still, we've achieved that before, and we're maintaining 100% compliance with Assembly Bill 341 and Assembly Bill 1826, and again with SB 1383, which hasn't fully gone into effect officially here yet. We're well ahead of schedule, and I know we have the attention and positive response from CalRecycle about that. So, in terms of our single-family residents, we continue to do non-collection tagging and follow-up. So that means if a driver sees that a load is contaminated, and it has to be significantly, visibly contaminated, the customer does get a tag, and our customer service department, as well as our waste hero team, follows up at different points in the process as that tagging happens, to help the customer do better and to prevent them from being fined. We continue to have a booth at the farmers market in Hollister. We'll do that again starting in a couple of weeks. We'll be at the county fair. We did that last year as well, and had a booth there, but also provided free stream services. And as with the commercial customers, we send out 6 bill inserts to our residents, including 2 newsletters. In that case, it's called Journeys to Zero Waste. You probably just got one if you get paper bills, and we also have a way to obtain a digital version, an electronic version for our e-billed customers. And our drivers continue to give out T-shirts to our young fans. A lot of kids still, they just love to see our trucks come by and watch the automated arms work and all of that. So just got another really cute picture of a Hollister resident, a 2-year-old who's a big fan. So she just got her T-shirt. So IWM staff already mentioned these environmental days. Monica mentioned this. Yes, we're going to have, well, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be reporting on last year. So we had 3 at Brigantino Park in Hollister, 3 in San Juan at the school. Yes, we've got 2 more coming right up, so that's ever present on my mind. But yes, last year we had over 500, almost 600 participants, and they were there to do paper shredding, of course, drop off e-waste, and we distributed compost. So you can see here the total number of pounds collected and distributed, and it's quite a lot. And thank you to those of you who are regular patrons of our environmental days. It's always great to see you there. Yeah, right. John's always right there. First in
I'm going to
line.
interrupt. That's not me. That's my wife. And of those 190 compost yards, probably 100 of them are in my backyard. So.
Yeah, we'll have to get your wife one of those T-shirts too. Or no, I guess we can't do that. Anyway, so outreach and 3-stream services. I mentioned some of these events already. 2 big ones that you probably know about are the Arts and Crafts Fest and the Rib Cook-Off. That both are put on by a company called Williams Limited, and so those take a lot of work, and we did a good job, I believe, diverting as much material as possible from those events, and we're in the midst of another round of those now. So always fine-tuning the process with 3-stream services.
I'm going to interrupt again.
Yeah,
It's April 26th through the 28th for the Rib Cook-Off.
that's right.
It's the Arts and Crafts Fair was, I think, last weekend.
We can before
And,
last.
and you did really great, but it kind of got rained out. But
Yeah,
you
there was
know.
a lot of rain. Yep.
But we're hoping great things for the Rib Cook-Off, especially with the weather.
Yeah, it should be better in May. So, and then we're going to be, I'm sorry, I keep doing that. So last year, we provided services, 3-stream services and outreach at the Hollister Street Fair and Car Show, and at Aromas Day as well. That involved the 3-stream sort stations again, station monitoring, and we had helpers from Infinity Staffing. That's a local company, as you probably know, and they won, I think the owner won Man of the Year last year from the chamber. And we also, at our booth, try to have different activities for kids, but also for adults. We do a sorting game. We did seed planting last year, since the theme was organics and healthy soils. And then we did a sort of a mini compost giveaway for people to use samples of the compost that we create from their green cart, the materials they set out at the curb for their house plants and so on. So the kids really enjoyed that. Poster contest. The theme again last year was organics. We displayed some of the artwork by the kids at the county fair, and I'm not sure why October Environmental Days is mentioned here, but there you have it. We did Environmental Days in October. I don't know. Anyway, and then the kids' artwork was put up on our trucks again. So I hope you've seen them around. We're going to be changing them out one more time after the judging of the new contest. Speaking of which, I know there was a request that those of you on this panel, on this task force, be able to participate in the judging. So you'll be hearing soon from Adrian Sagun, who's one of our new Waste Zero specialists, and he's heading up the youth outreach. So look for an email from him soon about the judging. And again, we'll be announcing those winners at Earth Day, but also displaying all of the artwork by all of the kids. We had, looks like, once again, about 250 entries. Yeah, amazing. After doing a lot of outreach with the kids and in conjunction with members of El Teatro Campesino. They were really great. In-kind services last year totaled $38,000, a little bit more than that, over the course of the year, and that includes all of these events that I mentioned, those that are not included in the franchise agreement, but those folks who apply for a donation. So there's a process that they go through, and we always try to accommodate that as much as we can. So one of those events I know was the Harvest Festival in San Juan, which is new. And so we are happy to do that. Abandoned waste, thanks to the good work of Frankie Sanchez and also our route supervisor, Isaac Beltran, and others. I know Frankie and Isaac are in frequent contact. Abandoned waste was up 62% from the previous year, and that's, I should say, abandoned waste collection. And we continue to do environmentally preferable purchasing with our printing, our office supplies, anywhere we can. We continue to purchase local, and we contribute to the San Benito Food Bank and the Central Coast Recycling. Oh my goodness, I might need help from Selena here, but anyway, the Regional Outreach Coalition to do regional campaigns that are in everyone's interest, and we're able to have more impact as a result. We've continued to participate in the Chamber of Commerce, especially on the Green Committee, and we do these Development Review Committee reviews for the City of Hollister Planning Department. That keeps us busy. We provided containers and collection services, bringing the Scouts trees that they collect to our own organics facility at Pacheco Pass. And the only exception to that is flocked trees. So if you can help us get the word out to not purchase flocked trees to begin with, and just get those nice green ones instead, that would be great. We did do little handouts this year that we asked the Scouts, and we provided them with little mini flyers to ask people next year to purchase the trees without flocking. And then last but not least, greenhouse gas emissions prevented. 660 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions were avoided as a result of our biodiesel trucks. And I'm available, and so is Mike, for any questions.
Question regarding the single family waste, in terms of when they get ticketed when
Yeah.
the driver stops them, what's the process there? Say, for example, if you come to my house and I have a violation, what's the educational process to me before the fine comes into
Right.
play?
Okay, so, the, uh, the process is that they will not be fined until the fourth occurrence. Really, because the language, I believe, was after the third occurrence, we've kind of interpreted that liberally in favor of those who are, contaminating. But yes, the first time the load is collected, and a tag is left, but the cart is emptied. And then our hope is that then you or whichever customer would call our customer service department, the number's there, to ask, what they could do better. It also says on the tag, the driver marks what the issues were. And there's a little stub at the bottom they tear off, and that comes back to my team. And all of that information also gets entered into our system. So the second time it is not disposed of, it's left there. It will be disposed of as garbage, but the customer is charged for a return trip, because a driver has to make a special trip to do that. And it's a different driver. It's a garbage driver as opposed to recycling or organics. And then third time, same. During that time, the customer service department is sending out a recycling guide, and we are getting involved whenever we see, multiple violations for any type of customer. It could be a resident, could be a business.
Well, the reason I ask is I have family that live in Santa Clara County, and they recycle differently from San Benito County.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I help my sister take out, their refuse, she lives in a multi-story complex, and so they have, the little chutes where they go down. But anyways, my concern was we have a lot of people that are moving in from out of the area from various counties and don't have the educational background that you have been given to us as residents. And I know when you get a brand new service, there's all those little pretty pictures on each of the bins to show you where they go.
Yes.
But after they've been in the sun for a time, they get all crinkled up and you can't really see what's on there. So I just want to make sure what we're doing to educate the new individuals moving into our community, so that they understand that this isn't Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, San Francisco County, it's San Benito County, and there's a different procedure for recycling, to make sure that we're always on that educational route.
Yes, very good point. Yeah. So any new customer, when they set up their account, customer service sends them a recycling guide. Their carts should arrive with brand new stickers. It doesn't always happen, I admit, but we try to always have stickers in our cars. That is, the Waste Zero team has them available so that we can replace those old ones with new ones. Last year we also had them at our farmers market booth, and we were giving them to people to replace themselves if they knew their stickers needed to be replaced. And our website is also available, of course, with all of that type of information. There's also a app called WhatBin, and they can use WhatBin to look up what goes where. So we do all we can. We've tried to use a number of methods to let people know exactly what is required and available through our program, and how it might be different elsewhere, because you're right, it does vary a little bit from place to place.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other comments or questions?
Any other questions? Any public comment?
No public comment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Turn it back over to IWM staff.
Thank you, Shauna. It's important for us to hear the great things that Recology does for the community, and we appreciate the partnership, the strong partnership that we have with them. We're in it to win it, and we are in it together. Next, I'd like to bring up Selena Stotler, Integrated Waste Manager, as she will review IWM's Regional Agency Quarterly Expenditure.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be providing you with a summary of our regional agency expenditures to date. We can pull up the PowerPoint. At our last LTF meeting, I shared that I would be providing you with a document moving forward at each meeting that provides greater detail into our regional agency expenditures, and you've been provided that document. It does include salary and benefits, services and supplies, and if you have any recommendations for us moving forward or requests to include in this future report or current report, please advise us so we can implement that by the next meeting. As a reminder, per the Regional Agency Joint Powers Agreement, the local task force is to review actual expenditures at least quarterly and make recommendations to the governing bodies on any actual or anticipated over expenditures. This slide provides a comparison of budgeted expenses for an approximate total of 1.4 million compared to actual expenses to date at approximately 578,000. Please note that the County of San Benito Board of Supervisors approved a 7% salary increase for staff at the December 12th, 2023 Board of Supervisor meeting, retroactive October 1st of 2023. And while we may exceed our allocated salary and benefits budget listed here, for that reason, we will not exceed the overall total budgeted expenses. As for revenue, $436,200 was budgeted and includes various grants awarded to the regional agency in addition to household hazardous waste and recycle day payments from Recology. The miscellaneous revenue listed here includes reimbursement payments for the Mattress Recycling Council, a legally dumped mattress collection initiative, which is the $20 per mattress program I mentioned earlier, and then household sharps disposal reimbursed through SB 212. This revenue is deducted from any grant or program related expenditures, so the cities and county would not be billed for any of these associated grant costs. And that does conclude our expenditure update. I know that was a lot of information to give you in a packet. You'll be given that next time with several days to review in advance of this meeting, but I am happy to answer any questions or to receive any feedback on that expenditure report.
Any questions?
No.
Not for me.
Thank you.
Okay. Any public comment? Okay, moving on to item number 6, action item. First up is appoint new task chair. Anybody you want to?
I say we retain the current chair, unless,
I second that.
okay.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ah, you're so good at this. You are good.
I'm abstaining, conflict of interest, but it
Oh.
motion carries. Okay, moving on to item number 2, or 2 under 6. Recommended integrated waste regional agency budget to regional members, final approval for Hollister City Council and City of San Juan, and the County Board of Supervisors.
All right,
Selena.
I'm up again. For today's recommended budget discussion, I'll first provide some background of the regional agency and more specifically the cost-sharing agreement between the cities of Hollister, San Juan Bautista, and the County of San Benito. This slide provides a brief overview of our various programs and services for the regional agency. The IWM Regional Agency was formed in 1995 under a joint powers agreement with the county as lead agency. This partnership was a means for both cities and the county to comply with the Integrated Waste Management Act, or AB 939. And as staff, our highest priority for the regional agency is to reduce the amount of solid waste disposed at permanent disposal facilities, as well as complete various state reporting requirements. And then you can see several other programs and services listed here. Oversight of the Recology franchise agreement. We also have non-exclusive franchise haulers operating for roll-off service and in the unincorporated county. Household hazardous waste programs, green business program coordination, youth and school recycling program and outreach, illegal dumping abatement coordination. recycling events, the Recycling Market Development Zone Program, and overall public education and outreach. In 2006, the regional agency members entered into a cost-sharing agreement establishing cost-sharing for each member agency based on population in order to more fairly share costs for regional agency programs and services. The agreement also warrants a local task force, which is before us today, and which serves as our advisory committee to review its annual budget. Again, regional agency members share the cost into operating these programs and functions. The county will perform the services per the cost-sharing agreement and bill the cities and county for their proportionate shares. All right, our budget. Now this slide compares a comparison of last year's approved expenses compared to this year's recommended expenses that have a proposed budget with more details listed there, but overall the proposed budget we're recommending is approximately 1.8 million. Services, supplies, and other charges 1,195,200. Salary and benefits 651,000. And as far as staffing goes, the staffing that you see here, these are the integrated waste management staff, and the percentage of coverage by the regional agency. We do have separate funds within the county for solid waste programs, our landfill fund and our county solid waste fund, and there's a regional agency fund. So for these positions, the regional agency fund is covering 100% for the recycling coordinators that you see here, 50% of my role, Catherine's role as staff analyst, 80% for Esmeralda. And this has not changed other than the additional recycling coordinator that you see in green text here. That is a new position we are proposing to add because of a grant that we received. So this will cover year one for that staffing cost. And we would, for this first year, we would market it as a one-year term unless the LTF decides to extend and fund that position.
When would we get that question posed to us?
It would be for the next year's recommended budget, similar to this meeting. We would, if we want to move forward in that direction, recommend that, we would do it at the Q1 meeting of 2025. And overall, the staffing costs have increased because of that Board of Supervisor approval for a 7% increase to salary of this year. And then next year, there is a 6% increase to each position. For regional agency revenue, we anticipate up to $594,700 in grants for ecology payments and other miscellaneous payments such as SB 212, sharps disposal reimbursement, and the mattress recycling program. This is up from our budget amount this fiscal year that was approved, which is $436,200. Overall, this slide provides a good greater detail into the various revenue sources we have. Now for cost sharing, there's a clear mechanism established in the regional agency cost sharing agreement. Expenses are totaled with an additional 5% overhead cost added, and most revenues, such as the grants, are deducted from the billable overall expenses to establish the billable expenses. And again, the recommended expenses for this upcoming fiscal year are $1,846,200. The 5% overhead would be $92,310, and when we deduct that revenue, the actual billable expenses would be a little over 1.3 million. And now into the population share, Hollister is approximately 65%. So their share of that 1.3 million would be 873,477. Sorry, I think I said that right. 873,477. San Juan Bautista is 3.2% for the cost share at $43,002, and San Benito County is at 31.8% of the population at $427,332. Now, looking at the Recology franchise agreement revenue since 2019, the agreement was passed in November of 2018, but we've seen self-sustaining programs for integrated waste because of this revenue. And what that means is a low to no impact to our general funds for both the cities and the county. And similar to prior years, revenues from the prior calendar year far exceed the expenses for our recommended budget for next fiscal year. So, City of Hollister's 2023 annual revenue for the franchise fee, for the AB 939 fee, and the litter abatement fee was over $1 million. City of San Juan Bautista was over $77,000, and then the County of San Benito was over $507,000. And it's important to note that these revenues do not include the non-exclusive franchise revenue that our other haulers are paying to both cities and the county. Okay, any questions before I talk about next steps?
Any questions, Rick? No. Supervisor, no, none for me also. Thank you.
So next steps, we would receive any recommendations on the proposed draft budget that we've shared with you today. If there are no recommendations or proposals, we'd like to have you now approve this. We cannot approve the budget here, but you would provide the recommended budget to the cities and to the County Board of Supervisors for their adoption. And ideally, it would be provided to them before April, but we did have to cancel our last meeting, and we are about a week late, but that's still have time.
So you just want a consensus from this board or official resolution?
I think I don't have the agenda in front of me. It's an action item to.
Yeah, it is an action item. No, yeah.
Yes, so the action would be recommend the regional agency recommended budget to the regional agency members for final approval by the cities of Hollister and San Juan Bautista and the County Board of Supervisors.
I'll make that motion per staff recommendation.
Thank you. I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you have your resolutions for all three jurisdictions. Okay, going on to item number 3, task force bylaws.
Hold on. Can we get public comment for the budget?
Budget? Public comment. I'm sorry.
No public comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 3, task force bylaws.
Good afternoon again, task force members. What I have, you have a copy before you, and what I will put onto the screen for anybody in the public watching. We've brought before you some changes. Selena and I worked with County Council on some cleanup language on the bylaws, and so I'd like to bring your attention to page 1, down at the bottom under membership. It said at least one appointment from the City of San Bautista City Council, where one appointee will be placed as an alternate. That should be 2, as it talks about appointment and alternate. And that is the same with the San Benito County Board of Supervisors. We just cleaned that up so that it's consistent with appointing one and an alternate. And then as I scroll down to page 2, we didn't see that there were any changes needed at this time. And I'm going down to page 3, and as we look at the meetings section, we looked at we felt that if we could combine some items and move items into different spots, it would create a better flow before the meeting, and so what we're suggesting is to move public comment from 3 to 5, and then combine presentation and discussion items. And then number 8 the number 8 should not be crossed out. But instead of action items, we have recommendations to regional agency member governing board as added language.
So would that be as in future agenda items? Is that kind of?
This would be like what you just did right now, and you just made a recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, for the budget. Yeah. I mean, did you want us to put
No,
in?
no, that was,
add
I just
in?
wanted to make sure, because I'm taking notes.
Okay. And that is all that we have proposed in
What
front
I
of
would
you.
like for you to do, go back to page 2,
Okay.
is where you have the, under absences, because I don't know, I mean, I can only speak for myself. I know that we need at least 2 of us here, and I know that there's been some meetings that have had to be postponed or pushed back because of one of us not being available. And so I think that should be in bold, so it's really, there's attention focus there. And then when we start getting into the area, we have to schedule meetings, you know, or reschedule them for whatever reason. We really need to take those seriously, because this is a valid task force meeting, and it does conflict, like this is with the opioid task force. You and I talked about that previously, but we just need to make sure that this is given its due respect that it deserves. And so maybe highlight, bold that section, something, and make sure that everybody's aware that if we can't make it, that it's our responsibility to contact the alternate, so that the alternate can come in our stead. I'm saying that globally because that doesn't happen around the county on a regular basis. I can't say about the city of San Juan or Hollister, but I know at the county it's not happening. So I'm just kind of making it, put it out there, the FYI to everybody. Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, and if that proposed change is acceptable to the members of the task force, then I would recommend making a motion with that specific language, the language in the absence clause bolded, and the number 8 reincorporated, because that's not in this draft, but the motion with those changes.
Okay, I'll make that
Would be
motion then, that the absence, it's in bold, the portion that I addressed, and then the section 8 gets put back in on page 3,
The number 8.
the number 8, yes.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, so we have a second from from Councilman Perez. So we'll take a vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Selena Stotler, our Integrated Waste Manager. We have discussion of fiscal 24-25 recommended integrated regional agency budget. Well, we did that. We just did that.
Hi.
So we're done.
So do you need a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, so motion to adjourn.
Yes.
So moved. Second.
You can't second your own motion.
I'll second his motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
hear
for all
that?
the information.
Did you hear that? My nap calling me again.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm supposed to be working.